Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys an old school discography review, and I'm going to be reviewing this band's discography since I'm actually going to see them in a couple weeks in Atlanta, and they're pretty much, as a lot of people probably know, my all-time favorite band ever. And from the shirt I'm wearing, I don't even need to say it, and by the title, we're going to be looking into Iron Maiden, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about starting off their discography with their legendary self-titled debut album, which was released in April of 1980 through EMI Records. Now, Iron Maiden definitely doesn't need an introduction. One of the best and most influential, important bands in the history of heavy metal, formed on December 25th, 1975 through Steve Harris. And a lot of people, I never even knew this, like before the lineup that was on this album, they had like a bunch of different lineup changes. Of course, being the constants that were on members, Steve Harris, and technically would be guitarist Dave Murray. Well, they've both been on every Iron Maiden albums, but there was like a period before that where Dave was out, but then he later came back and stuff. And then it was around near probably late 1978, 1979, where I feel like they pretty much found their lineup. And then clocking into the new decade, 1980, the band released their self-titled debut album. Now, a lot of people, would I consider this Iron Maiden's best album? I mean, I love Iron Maiden, but I feel like there's more albums that I feel like it's a good start to their career. It's kind of different compared to like later albums like Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind, where musically I feel like this album is almost has a little bit of a punky vibe to it, while it still have like that good Maiden sound that they're pretty much known for. But this album is also produced by Will Malone. He actually produced, I think that's his name. He produced like Black Sabbath. Before I heard, he didn't really do much. It was mostly, I feel like it's Steve Harris that did like the handling, I guess, from what I've heard. The vocals, like, they're pretty different. This is for one of the two albums that they did with the vocalist Paul Di'Anno, and his vocal style is different from like Bruce Dickinson and stuff. Like Cat doesn't really have that high range, has that little grit to his voice. And it just sounds pretty good. Guitar wise, Dave Murray, and this is the only album with the guitarist Dennis Stratton. After this album, he was, I believe, kicked out. I believe they toured in 1980, and he just got kicked out and was replaced by Adrian Smith. But I feel like Dennis and Dave have some really good guitar solos. Steve Harris's bass lines definitely, his bass definitely is pretty much sticks well in the mix. Drumming wise, from the late great Clive Burr, rest in peace, man. Sorry, excuse me. His guitar work, his drumming is just superb. I mean, it doesn't like beat like Nico McBrain, who would take his place even a couple albums later. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting off this album is of course the song Prowler, where a powerful opener. Prowler displays a ton of raw energy that the band carries throughout the album, with excellent melodies, leads, a strong rhythm section from each of the band members, and catchy, memorable vocals from Paul. Prowler is a great track and is a very clear indicative of what the band played at the time. Each musician can be heard at work very well clearly, which displays the talent and potential of the band superbly. The lyrics are quite shallow, but Prowler is kind of like a fun song nonetheless. Next song on here is, of course, Sanctuary, which was actually not featured in like the original European release of the album, but this I actually have the remastered from 1998. And actually, another thing, this cover, which of course has the legendary mascot Eddie, is kind of different. It's sort of like a newer version, which I kind of wish I had like the original, but yeah. Anyway, back to the song Sanctuary. I feel like they're like this song is a fairly good song with sort of like that old school Maiden feel to it, and the song is very catchy, and for that reason was chosen as like the second single of the album. The guitar riffs are simple and aren't really that impressive, but Steve's relentless bass guitar attack just sets the mood for the album, and both Dennis and Dave turn in for some brilliant guitar solos, and the song has a great finish to it, and all the instruments speed up before a sudden finish to the song. And then I feel like the album kind of slows down a little bit with the next song, Remember Tomorrow, which starts off with a fantastic bass intro from Steve. And this song has a great atmosphere, and coupled with some softer vocals from Paul, and has one of the album's most enjoyable intros. The song is very emotional and has some of the best lyrics on the album, the song's pace changes several times throughout the song, starting off slow and eventually becoming very fast-paced toward the middle of the song, where the two guitarists contribute largely again. But that's just all being the highlight and showing, I mean, why you got the gig over the other guitarist that pretty much they wanted his gig. But I feel like Remember Tomorrow is ironically one of the album's most forgotten gems, and it's a great all-around song, one of the album's highlights, and I honestly feel like it's one of the most underrated Maiden songs of all time. That's just me. Then we go into Running Free, which is one of the Maiden's simplest songs to start with a steady drum beat and some bass before the vocals and guitar start up. And I feel like Running Free is actually a fun song live, with its like sing-along choruses and a catchy beat. But I feel like the original studio recording seems kind of like lacking a little bit of emotion and energy. And I feel like it's one of the weaker songs on the album and very on here, but I just think it's better live than on record. And then going from there, we'll start with the next song being Phantom of the Opera. Easily, in my opinion, the best song on the album. Phantom of the Opera was, I believe, the crowning achievement for Iron Maiden, the first of several epic tracks. Phantom of the Opera is very well written, and Paul Di'Anno does a good job singing on the song. But the musicians feel like this spotlight here. Each member has a specific point where they want to stick out, being on the guitar solos, the amazing bass line 3.5 minutes in, or Clive's consistent drumming. Phantom of the Opera is full of epic lead sections, catchy rhythm pieces, and executed very well. And this song is easily some of the best from the original like Paul Di'Anno era. Transylvania is the next song, and it is also very well written and thought out track. It is actually the first instrumental Iron Maiden has ever done, and in my opinion, the best one they've written so far. The song is very fast-paced and fun to listen to, and Kleifer is relentless on the song with his amazing drumming that is second to none. And also impressive are the harmonized riff, which flows very well. A driving rhythm from the band makes the song more enjoyable, and the band is very successful in doing this. And Transylvania is one of the fastest songs on the album and fun to listen to, and it fades out with a clean riff that leads directly into the next song, being Strange World. And this track is perhaps the only song on here that can strip Phantom of the Opera of its best of the album crown. This song is the lightest on the album, driven kind of like similar to Remember Tomorrow. It was driven by clean guitar riffs and interesting bass lines, and a sad-sounding song where Paul sings with emotion only matched by the third track. And Dave treats the listener to a fun solo before the song turns back into the sadder sounding clean riffs. Another forgotten classic that I wish Maiden would play more often. And the next song on the album is called Charlotte the Harlot, and it is the first, I believe, in the Charlotte saga that the band has carried over several albums. And this track is as close to Maiden as God. It's a love song until like the song Wasting Love from the Fear of the Dark album. And the tempo of this song changes several times and is pulled off rather well, and Paul sings exceedingly well here, and his vocals really fit the song. It's a good track, but it lacks some aspects like 22 Acacia Avenue from Number of the Beast is a better song. And the final track of the album is, of course, the band's own title track, the song Iron Maiden. And it features some cool harmonized riffs as well as a very catchy chorus, and Iron Maiden might be pretty much, I feel like this is the band's anthem, pretty much what they stand up for. Oh, and it's pretty much been played live ever since then, so they've been doing this for 40 years almost. And the lyrics clearly describe the Iron Maiden as a sick, deceitful woman, where they really describe the torture device that goes by the same name. And it's a fun song, great song live, and I pretty much at near the last like little bass little solo that Steve does, like they bring out Eddie the Head, their mascot. It's a good way to end the album, and I think it's a good song. Now overall, Iron Maiden's self-titled debut album is a solid beginning to an excellent career. So if I had to give this album a score, I'm definitely going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. It's really good debut album, but I feel like they just would get better from there on out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, keep it metal.